Understand? In today's clipping, we will discuss the reasons for increasing returns, decreasing returns, and negative returns as part of the short-run production function. In the previous classes, we have discussed about the law of variable proportions through a diagram, through a table, and then the short-term, long-term, and some such concepts as part of production function. So what we are going to see today is why the short-run production function behaves in the fashion that it does. So the law of variable proportions, as it is given to you, you have understood that the total product, it increases at an increasing rate initially, which means that the marginal product increases. So that is the phase of increasing returns. That is the phase of increasing returns. Yes? And then there is going to be decreasing returns, which marks the TP to be increasing at a decreasing rate, and that would mean that the marginal product actually decreases. And then we have the negative return stage, that is the third phase, wherein the total product starts falling. The MP, it starts falling in the second phase itself. Yes, it would reach 0, and then in the third or the negative returns phase, it becomes negative. So the marginal product becomes negative. Okay, so why this kind of behavior? Why this kind of behavior? After all, the producer is increasing the variable inputs continuously. Even as variable inputs are increased continuously, why these three different outcomes? Why these three different phases? So the reasons for the three different phases is what we are going to see in this particular class. Right? Okay. So increasing returns, it could happen in any production activity. Now, if you recollect, you understood that production activity, it can be in the primary, in the secondary, in the tertiary sector. There is agriculture, industry, tertiary sector, all are productive activities, right? All are productive activities. Yeah. For simplicity's sake, let us take up agriculture. Yes, the primary activity, and let's understand that there is going to be a small piece of land. There's going to be a small piece of land. Okay. Now, land, we know that it is a fixed factor. Land is a fixed factor, and in this small piece of land, let's say the laborer is going to be inducted, or the laborer is going to be hired to work in the small piece of land. Okay, so let's say the first laborer is going to be employed in the process of production. Land as well as labor, land and labor, they are going to be combined in the process of production. The activity is agriculture. Right? So this piece of land, the first laborer is going to be employed in the process of production. So the size of the land is big for the first laborer. The size of the land is big for the first laborer. Maybe just one laborer will not be able to completely make use of the land. Yes? So for full utilization of the given fixed factor or the land in this case, let's say maybe 4 people are required. 4 people are required. Yeah, that is the labor land ratio. The ideal ratio for this piece of land is going to be 4:1. One piece of land, to completely utilize this piece of land, 4 laborers are required. But then to start up with the production activity, the first laborer is going to be employed out there. The first farmer or the landless laborer, whoever is going to be employed in the process of production, is going to probably make use of some small portion of the land. Now, what did we say? 4 people are actually required to make use of the land completely. For full utilization of the land, 4 people are required. And then production is going to start with just the first person. So the first person is going to try his best and is going to contribute towards the total product. Right? And then the second person is going to be hired. The second person is going to be hired in the process of production. So combined together, the first and the second, the first and the second, they are going to contribute much more towards the total product. Yes? Compared to the first person, the second person is going to contribute a little more. Why? Because there is going to be better coordination. There is going to be better coordination of these two factors with a fixed factor. The two laborers are going to combine, coordinate and work with better efficiency, and together they will be able to contribute much more towards the total product. So yeah, the total product will increase, and that will increase at an increasing rate. Yes? Now see, the land is still not fully utilized. The land is still not fully utilized. So then let's say the third person is going to be now hired, and the third person is going to be used in the process of production. So yeah, 1, 2, 3. 3 people are going to work in this piece of land now. Still better. Definitely still better. Compared to 2 people, the third person will also be able to contribute a lot more. Land is still not completely utilized. There is still scope for increased production out there. So compared to the 2, the third person also will be able to contribute more towards the total product. So increased efficiency is going to be there. So there would be increased production, alright? And that increased production is going to happen with increased efficiency, specialization. Yeah, now think about it. Now one person is going to, sow the seeds. Second person probably is going to water. Yeah, and then as the seeds start growing, the person is going to water, and then maybe the third person is going to de-weed or look into the pesticides or constantly tend to the land and so on. Each one has their own bit. They are going to become specialists in whatever they are doing out there. Division of labor is possible out there. The work is going to be, think of again just one laborer. One laborer going around, or one farmer out there going to go around and then has to take care of the plants, what are the plants, de-weed and think about pesticides, and not possible, right? Compared to that, 2, 3, better, definitely better. Yes, they are going to divide the work, there is going to be specialization, division of labor, and there is going to be a possibility in terms of increased productivity. So there is going to be increased efficiency, increased productivity, or what am I talking about? Increased marginal product. Contribution by the second, by the third, by the fourth laborer is going to become much higher. That's what you saw on the table. Yes? In the previous class, we saw that the marginal product increases. That's what I have noted down here. And the rate at which the total product increases will be at an increasing rate. Yes? So this continues till the ideal ratio. The fourth person is also going to be engaged in the process of production. That marks the full utilization of the fixed factor. The fixed factor now is going to be completely utilized. So this ideal ratio of 4:1 in the production activity is going to result in, what did I say? This is going to be the ideal ratio. So even as this ideal ratio is going to be attained, there is going to be an optimum output. Fine, mind you, this is optimum output and not the maximum output. There is a difference. This is the optimum output that is going to be attained in the process of production. Optimum in what sense? Optimum in the sense that the fixed factor is going to be fully utilized, not overutilized. Without straining the fixed factors, whatever output can be produced in the short time period is what is the optimum output. Yes, or a complete utilization of the fixed factor is undertaken with this ideal ratio, and the output attained would be the optimum output. Fine. So at this particular point, the marginal product actually it becomes maximum. Look at this. The first phase, MP is increasing, indicating that the TP is increasing at an increasing rate. Yes? So then it increases, it reaches its maximum, and that is the optimum output without straining the fixed factors, by completely utilizing the fixed factors. ideal ratio of the variable and the fixed inputs are going to result in this particular output. Yes. Now, beyond this 4:1, if the fifth person is going to be employed in the process of production, what's going to happen? The land was just sufficient enough for 4 people, right? Land as a fixed factor was just sufficient for 4 people. Now, the fifth person is going to be employed in the process of production. This keeps happening all the time. Definitely, you would have come across the term disguised unemployment, isn't it? In the rural areas, disguised unemployment is still very much a phenomenon. What is disguised unemployment? A situation wherein more people are working where actually less is required. Yeah, a situation wherein more people are working where less is only required. So what happens then? When more people are going to work in a place where less is required, the additionally employed people, they are going to be contributing less. That's precisely what happens here. Now 4 people, they were contributing just the right amount. They were completely utilizing the fixed factor, namely the land, and the ratio of the labor and the land was the ideal ratio, and that gave the optimum output without straining of the resources. Yeah, one factor input was fixed. The other factor input, namely labor, that was increased. So what was happening? Increased labor was substituted in the place of the other factor which did not increase. So this substitution kept happening, and this substitution was all right. It was an efficient substitution. More labor, yes, with more labor, the output can be increased, right? But then there comes a stage where this ideal ratio is going to be now crossed, right? So what's going to happen? The fifth person, where is the land available? No land available, no extra land available for this fifth person, alright? So the fifth person is going to sort of share the work with the others, meaning the land availability for the fifth person is not going to be there. Already the land is fully utilized. So when the fifth person is going to be employed, the fifth person has to share this fixed capital with the 4. So the contribution by this fifth person will become lower. Yes, the fifth person is going to contribute lesser than the 4th person. That's where you see there is a decreasing returns after this ideal ratio or this optimum output is crossed. What's happening? Land is completely utilized, the fixed factor is completely utilized. For the additional variable input, there is no availability of the fixed input, so you're going to start overutilizing the land now. Yeah, the fixed factor is going to be overutilized, and the contribution done by this additional laborer or this additional variable input will be low. That's what indicates when you look at the MP. Fine, MP, it starts falling. That's what is indicated by the falling marginal product out here. What about the total product? Total product is still increasing, but then at a decreasing rate. Yes? Yeah? So, after full utilization, why is it that the entrepreneurs trying to employ this 5th and 6th and 7th person? The idea of the entrepreneur is to maximize the output, not optimize the output, mind you. Yeah? Maximizing the output, maximum output with a given inputs. Yeah? Any entrepreneur would love to maximize the output. Yes? So, with a given, let me repeat, with a given input, any entrepreneur would love to maximize the output. Why again? The producers, their objective is going to be maximization of the returns, maximization of the profit. Yes, maximization of profit is one basic objective of any production unit. Of course, there could be multiple objectives. There could be multiple objectives in the long time period. Yes? But then in the short time period, for the firm to survive, it has got to break even. The cost should be equal to the revenue, and then there should be at least enough profit for the firm to continue on. Yeah? Then if it survives in the short time period, in the long time period, it will have all the multiple objectives, isn't it? So the entrepreneur would like to, with a minimal input, maximize the output, or given the input, try and maximize the output. So in order to maximize the output, the entrepreneur is going to move on beyond this ideal capacity, beyond this ideal ratio or the optimum output. Fine. So when one more unit of the variable input is going to be employed in the process of production, that additional unit of the variable input that's going to be employed will only give a lesser return, or there is going to be a decreasing return. So the MP falls and the TP increases, but it increases at a decreasing rate. Now why is that happening? That is happening because of overutilization of the fixed factor. That is happening because of overutilization of the fixed factor. So what happens because of this overutilization of the fixed factor? Now all this while the fixed factor, for the entire production process is going to remain fixed, and then increase output was planned, and that was gained by increasing the dosage of the variable inputs. 1, 2, 3, 4, more and more of variable inputs, and more of total product was possible. Still few more variable inputs, that becomes a poor substitution. Now initially what did we see? There's going to be specialization. One farmer is going to probably take care of de-weeding, the other one is going to water the plants and so on. That's what we saw. And then 4 people were correctly employed. That was ideal ratio. The 5th person does not have a land, is going to sort of share the land with the others. So what's happening? There's going to be a poor coordination between the variable input and the fixed input. Why? Because we are trying to overutilize the land. Land is not there. Land is not there. Full utilization has already happened, and we are trying to make use of that land. The entrepreneur is trying to make use of that land more and more and more, which doesn't seem to be changing. The fixed factor versus the variable factor. There's going to be poor coordination between these two inputs. So that is what is resulted in. That is what is resulted in a decreasing marginal product, and the total product will increase only at a decreasing rate. Alright. So what did I say? Poor coordination between the inputs and the output, poor substitution of the variable input and the fixed input, and overutilization of the fixed factor. All these are going to result in a falling marginal product, and if it's going to continue, it will lead on to the negative returns. Now I remember talking about the disguised unemployment to you. Disguised unemployment is a situation where the marginal product is going to be equal to 0 between these two stages. Decreasing returns and negative return stage. Decreasing returns, MP falls, right? And the negative return stage, MP becomes negative. So in between the falling and the negative stage, MP at some particular stage is going to become 0. Yes? MP is going to become 0. So that is a stage. That is a stage which marks the disguised unemployment stage, where there is no additional productivity. There is no additional product due to the employment of the variable input out there. Fine? So this behavior is what is found in the short term, even as the producer is going to employ more and more and more variable inputs. Initially, we understand there is going to be increasing returns till the full utilization of the fixed factor. After the full utilization of the fixed factor, there is going to be a decreasing returns, and then there is going to be a negative returns. So this is the behavior. I think the causes we have just understood. Initially, there is increasing returns due to capacity availability. The fixed factor is available. Fixed factor is available. The firm is yet to attain the full capacity utilization. So till that full capacity utilization is attained, there is going to be an increase in returns. Once the full capacity utilization of the fixed factor is attained, they would be decreasing and there could be a negative return stage. Right? Having said that, which stage is ideal for production? Entrepreneur has to decide, right? In the short run, when more and more variable inputs are going to be hired for the process of production, this is how it's going to be. Right? The output behavior is going to be increasing, decreasing and negative. So which one is ideal? Which one is ideal? Where would the producer stop, or where should the producer stop employing the variable inputs? Right? So the ideal stage is the second stage. The ideal stage is the second stage. Why? Because the TP is still increasing. The total product, the total output is still increasing. No rational entrepreneur will stop production in the very first stage. The very first stage, the total product is increasing at an increasing rate. That is, the total output is increasing. Very efficient production. There is scope for increasing the output more. So no rational entrepreneur will stop production at this phase or increasing returns phase. Right? So at the end of the decreasing returns phase, when the total product is going to become maximum, the total product is going to become maximum at the end of the decreasing returns stage, wherein the marginal product will be 0. Right? So this is where the producer would stop the production, or rather stop employing more amount of variable inputs. Once more, no rational producer will be willing to move on to this third phase, negative returns phase. Why? For the obvious reason that the total product is falling, the total output is falling. Yes, and what about the marginal product? Marginal product has gone into the negative quadrant. And nobody would want negative returns, isn't it? Yeah. So the third phase is not the preferred phase. The first phase again is not the preferred phase. So the ideal phase for production would be the second phase, where the total product becomes maximum and the marginal product is 0. Fine? So that is exactly where the short run production function will be attaining the equilibrium. Yes, but then we are still not discussing anything about the cost or the revenue or the profitability. What are we talking about? We are simply talking about the relationship between the input and the output. Given the set of inputs, what is going to be the output? That is what we are discussing out here. Right? So to really understand whether production would stop in the second phase or the first phase or the third phase, yes, that I think you would be able to gauge that only when we move on to cost and the revenue and profit chapters, which you would be doing shortly. Right? So after this production function chapter, we would move on to the other chapters, namely cost and supply and revenue and so on. That is when you will understand which is the right phase. As of now, trying to understand the short-run production function, the ideal phase for production looks like the second phase. Okay, right? So this is the behavior of the law of variable proportions in the short run, and these are the 3 different phases and the causes for the 3 different phases. That is what we have understood just now. Yeah, so we would see the behavior of the marginal product and the average product in the upcoming clipping. Yes, stay.